Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 194 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on January 9th, 2024. How are all you wonderful folks doing? Man, hopefully well. Hopefully you have had a chance to do some fun shooting lately. It's pretty cold outside though, so that's no fun, at least for me. I'm not a huge fan of shooting in the cold, but silencers can keep you warm though. So that's cool. That's a plus, right? My voice is coming back. It's not 100% yet, but it is getting there. Thank you so much for hanging in with me last episode. That was rough, dude. That was not cool. But we're back. So on today's episode, I think we have some good stuff. We're going to go into the technical discussion of the Resilient Suppressors Jessie's Girl subcompact semiautomatic pistol data. That's a mouthful. Yeah, the Beretta 21.8, remember? I also want to talk about gas blowback from ARs and guns and stuff. I think that would be good to speak with you about. I've seen some absolutely wild things said about this, so perhaps it's time to go back to basics and speak a little bit about the nature of the phenomena. What it is, what it isn't. All that good stuff. Maybe it'll help you with your suppressed weapons. Could be good for you. Yeah, I just thought that would be a good topic to move into. Early this year. In January, when we're all fresh. Okay. What we'll do now is really quick. If you listen to this on Spotify or YouTube or wherever there's timestamps, you can go ahead and skip to the topics if you like. But for those of you who are just ride or die, let me tell you about the wonderful sponsors of this podcast. First up is Legion Athletics. That's right. Because nothing you do, exercise, sports, anything is worth doing without consistency. Right? You got to do it all the time if you want to be good at it. And Legion Athletics can certainly help you with that. They have whey protein. They got pre-workout, post-workout, intra-workout, vitamin supplements, immune system boosters, just all kinds of really cool stuff. They don't have everything you need, but they have a lot of it, okay? And if you go to legionathletics.com, there's a link in the show notes. I made it pretty easy for you. Click that link. Go to the website, use code word PEW Science. You save 20% off of your first order, which can be a lot if you buy a lot of stuff. And then just keep using PEW Science code all the time, every time you order from them, and you'll end up getting a net 10% off everything going forward because you'll get more points, get double the loyalty points with that code. Okay, so do that. It's pretty good. I'm telling you, man. I've been using lately from them. I've been using the Pulse pre-workout's a given, right? But the Performance Surge I use as an intra workout. I sip on that just in my water bottle or whatever when I'm lifting. And then the Pump Surge, I've actually been using that with my pre-workout, kind of stacking that together. It's been pretty good. The one thing that I use that I don't think Legion sells, I'll have to check, but I do not think they sell a German creatine monohydrate. So I'm pre and post workout. I'm dumping creatine monohydrate into my body. It's one of the most researched sports supplements known to man. So if you want to talk to me about that, just let me know. Hit me up. But that has nothing to do with Legion. It's creatine, and I kind of add that to everything. So just thought I'd use this ad read as an excuse to talk about it. Let's go on. The next sponsor of the podcast is Top Gun Range Houston. That's right. If you're in the Houston area or if you're just visiting, you should go check them out. It's worth it. They have a really nice indoor store and 15-lane shooting range. It's pretty good, man. You can sit on the couch, hang out, talk shop, talk about guns, and maybe you go try out their firearm rental fleet because it's the largest in the entire state of Texas. That's right. You can rent the pistols and rifles and shotguns and machine guns, and you can even rent the silencers. So you go there, you hang out, make a day of it, man. It could be cool. You can check out their rental inventory on their website at topgunrange.com, and you can find them on Instagram at Top Gun Range. Go check them out. This episode is also brought to you by High-End Armament Technologies. They got significant longevity in the machine gun game, NFA game, infrared sighting systems, night vision optics, thermal optics, pretty much all the either super expensive or esoteric or hard to find stuff. It's where you go for that. highendarms.com. Okay, check them out. Tell them Jay sent you. This episode is also brought to you by Silencer Shop. You can use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically, and in turn, they'll cut down on errors. You'll simplify your silencer purchasing process. You'll get a money-back guarantee. It's pretty good. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors. Just you and your silencer with no drama. It's really a silencer ownership simplified. Good folks. They move a lot of product, I tell you what. Silencer Shop. It's kind of crazy. It's like the Costco of silencers, but it's pretty similar. Of course, the government's involved. Everyone knows that the government can't keep Costco down. The hot dogs have remained the same price. Finally, this podcast is brought to you by the PEW Science Laboratory. Did you know that? I am the technical director of the lab, and in the interest of public education, the lab sponsors this podcast, and it runs a public research effort which continues to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. You can visit our website at pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It's the simplest, most accurate hearing safe rating for suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. It's really important. PEW Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. That's right. We developed this for all of you. There are 7 sections, and it contains the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the entire known universe. And it's all available to the public 24/7 at pewscience.com. Please, you can support this podcast. You can support the PEW Science Lab. You can support all the testing we do for you by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. That would really mean a lot, guys. It really helps a lot. We'd be in your debt. You get more data if you join too, which is cool. Also, there's a donate feature on the review page. If you're not into monthly stuff and you just want to throw a bone, you can donate if you like. Donate on the review page or podcast page. Every little bit helps. And if something's free and doesn't cost you anything, you can give this podcast a good rating on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube. Like and subscribe, as they say. That way you let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. And we can normalize the use of suppressed small arms, okay? I think it'd be cool. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I got 2 topics, like I was telling you earlier. I got 2 topics for you prepared today. The first, Sound Signature Review 6-136. The Resilient Suppressors Jessie's Girl on the Beretta 21A subcompact semi-automatic rimfire pistol. That's right. This is the technical discussion for this white paper. It was published January 3rd. Okay, published a week ago. Today. That's right. We'll talk technically. And then topic 2, gas blowback out of your AR-15 ejection port? Oh, the humanity. Do you know why it happens? When you add a silencer, does it change what happens unsuppressed? And for that matter, how do you know how much it's going to change? What are the variables? Let's revisit this basic discussion today. I think it'll be good. Okay, so let's move into topic 1 in a time of 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, 1 second. Very good. Voice seems to be working so far. That's definitely an improvement. You know how I lost my voice last time and then later in the week lost it completely again. Just got it back like last night. Not the best time so far here. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6-136. The Resilient Suppressors Jessie's Girl on the Beretta 21A subcompact semi-automatic rimfire pistol. Technical discussion. Okay, the Jessie's Girl. It's interesting to say. It's fun to say. It's a good song, I'm not going to sing it. I almost did just now. It's a neat silencer, simple silencer. That's one thing that's pretty good about a lot of these 22 silencers, guys. They're pretty simple. They're small. They're simple. Generally pretty effective. I say that generally. That's what makes them sort of cool because you can get a lot of bang for your buck, as it were. I do think overall that 22 silencers are probably the most important silencers to have because you can shoot them all day relatively economically and quietly, right? Nothing beats suppressed 22, probably, right? I think that's right. I mean, now that being said, not all 22 silencers are created equal by any means. Okay, some animals are more equal than others, and some of them, the folks advertised as super quiet, might not be. Okay, we started off the silencer sound standard with 22 because we wanted to show a pretty quiet system to juxtapose with the louder systems. Okay, the centerfire pistol and rifle systems we presented early on, it's a package deal. Okay, remember, suppressed small arm weapon system performance is a spectrum. Okay, so we wanted to present that, in the pedigree, and I think it was a pretty good range. So now that the standard's grown to include 136 publications, it's cool to see us come back to 22, right? One of the things that's really important about 22 is pistol and rifle performance. And just like with centerfire rifle silencers, barrel length matters. Okay? The shorter the little rimfire host you have, the higher the pressure. And some 22 silencers can't keep up. Okay, we're going to talk about that more in a little while here once we get to the comparison section in the article. But I really want you guys to if you remember anything of what I say about this, remember, barrel length matters. Okay, pressure matters. It's just physics, and you're going to learn. It's going to be great. Okay. So for now, let's take a look at Article 6-136. So if you can go to pewscience.com, click on reviews. It'll be the most recent review published. I have the member page open now, so I have the member review open. I'm gonna go through that. You can follow along at home with either the member version or even the free version if you like. Don't worry, I won't alienate you if you're not looking at the member review. No man left behind. Okay. Give you a second to pull it up. Okay. So, bottom line up front, 81.2 suppression rating at the muzzle on this little semi-auto pistol with a silencer. 67.4 at the shooter's ear. Okay. For an overall composite rating of 81.5. Yeah, not too shabby, my friends. Not too shabby. Right? Yeah. It's been a minute since we looked at something this quiet. It's been... What's that meme from Titanic? It's been 84 years. No, it's been like 4 years, though. Real talk. Yeah, it's a little bit less than 4 years. But yeah, it's been almost 4 years since we looked at this, and probably we need to put this in perspective for you because you just haven't seen this for a minute, right? I mean, it's new for you. Okay, for a lot of you. So what we can do is we can go to the rankings table. Oh, snap. That's right. Let's do that. Let's do it right now. You have your browser open. If not, just catch up. Okay, go to the suppression rating. We're not even going to filter. We're just going to go to the suppression rating table. And what you're going to do is sort by ear rating, descending. You with me? Okay. So what was our Jessie's girl on the semi-automatic pistol? 67.4, right? Okay, so find 67.4 on the table. It's not too far down. Okay, you found it? Cool. Okay, so that hazard level in that kind of mid to upper 60 zone of the suppression rating chart, that hazard level, it's pretty close to really quiet silencers on a subsonic 300 blackout bolt action rifle, isn't it? What's on the table? What's next to the Jessie's girl on the semi-auto pistol like this? Well, you got the Otter Creek Hydrogen L on 300 blackout bolt action, flanking it on the top. On the bottom, you got the Cat ODB on subsonic 300 blackout. This is all the minifix. That's all that 8-inch 300 blackout bolt action with discrete ballistic subsonic ammo. This is this Jessie's girl at the shooter's ears, surrounded by the Hyperion Hydrogen-L, Cat ODB, the SIG SRD TIQD, Enticer L. You see what this is doing? Is that strange to you? It should be a little strange at first, right? Because you're like, no one ever would compare that, right? Well, it should be a little strange, because if you aren't familiar with actual hazard, this could be strange to you. But this just goes to show you, for one, the power of the suppression rating. You've never had that before. Two, 22 can be louder than you think to the shooter, can't it? On little semi-auto pistols, some people think that the hazard rating to the shooter is the same as bystanders with 22. And it's not, guys. It's higher. And having a small 22 round give you the same hazard as a center fire subsonic round is all about host, guys. Ejection port blast will get you. It's real, guys. So just keep that in mind, okay? This is a surprise tool that's going to help you later. Keep in mind, flow rate matters, not just on your Mark 18, okay? Flow rate matters on semi-autos regardless. Okay, we're going to talk about it more in the next topic, but back to this Jessie's girl thing. But I wanted to show you this. I wanted to show you how everyone's interested in how things stack up against their competition. But shouldn't you also be interested on how it stacks up in general? That's the power of this entire thing, guys. That's why the rankings table exists like it does. This is the only place you can see this stuff, guys. The power of the suppression rating is all of the numbers are comparable to each other. It doesn't matter what silencer, ammo, or host it is. The suppression rating is one playing field. It's not peak dB. It is a dose limit. You get me? See the difference? This is why it's so powerful. And this is why it's protected, because it allows you to put everything on the same playing field. Okay? You cannot do that with any other metric. All right? 1 second. Never in a million years would you have someone compare the shooter's ear hazard of a semi-auto 22 pistol suppressed with a 300 blackout minifix until now, right? You just can't. They're not comparable unless you analyze the entire waveforms. So here we are. So that's giving you now supreme context of how hazardous it is to shoot that little Beretta Bobcat. Remember the Beretta 21A? It's also known as the Beretta Bobcat. You take that little Beretta Bobcat, you put a Jesse's Girl on it with CCI standard velocity ammo. You start plinking with it with your arms out, shooting. You're going to get a hazard that's close to a pretty quiet 300 blackout bolt gun setup. Okay? So is that super duper whisper quiet to you? Well, no, it is not. Whisper quiet would be putting the Jesse's Girl on a bolt action 16-inch barrel, and the shooter's ear suppression rating jumps up to 85.7, 2 categories. Oh, snap. See the difference? Yes. Okay, let's before I get too far off track, let's get back. So, okay, back to the article. I'm going all crazy. So go back to the article. You can scroll down past the rating graphic here. You can pass the table at the peak values. You can look at them if you want, but let's go to the pay dirt here. Let's look at the fingerprint. Okay, pressure in the free field, figure 1A and 1B. Here is where things get really interesting with this test. This is this like really esoteric, like super like PEW Science nerd stuff, but we're going to talk about it anyway. It's cool. So right away, when you look at this, you're going to see some things you're probably familiar with, right? When you look at these signatures in figure 1, what's a big standout here in figure 1? It's the slide closing signatures, right? Yeah, absolutely. Most of them are hanging out between 50 to 55 milliseconds or so, give or take. About as consistent as we see with the Beretta 21A host, really when we're doing testing, when we see this stuff, like, yeah, it's going to, I mean, they're not lying right on top of each other. Just the Beretta 21A, it's not, it's a 22 pistol. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's not, ammunition is very important. I'm going to talk about that. So when you're looking at this, you see shot 2, it's like way delayed. You're like, whoa, what's going on? It's not good. So we saw it during the test. It's like, okay. We looked into it further and further. We looked pretty closely into this. We did a lot of analysis, and it because it was definitely a sign that was something was wrong. And so when you look at the momentum transfer potentials in Figure 2, or the impulse, when you look at the impulse, you see how in early time the combustion was like super consistent, like after FRP, after the first shot, like all the shots are right on top of each other. Like, okay, like that's a good sign, very good. Nothing out of the ordinary here. But then shot 2 sort of runs out of steam, doesn't it? Lower energy. Combustion energy was lower. What would cause that? With all of these context clues together, what would cause that? What's ammunition? It's got to be, I mean, we're 99% sure that there was an ammunition issue here. If the slide had closed closer to the same time, well, for one, the signatures wouldn't look like this, and so we wouldn't even be talking about it. But there are some telltale signs we can still look at. But we would probably rule that out. All the indicators here are pointing to ammunition, which is very rare. It's actually very rare with the way we test and the ammunition we use. The very lucky thing, and why we kept this test going, actually, why we published it, because it just serendipitously, the Beretta 21A, it doesn't have a last round bolt hold open or slide hold open. It just it returns to battery even after shot 6. So, as we only use 5 shots in the analysis for the suppression rating, right? That's said in the articles, like over and over again. I always write that. Okay. So we had shot 6 was fine and has, for all intents and purposes, the same signature, other than the fact it's not chambering a new round when it returns to battery. But in this case, we examined the signatures, and it was so dang close. It was a great substitute for shot 2. We just ended up using shot 6 in the analysis, and it's all published. I mean, you can see the impulse accumulation is really on target too, which was really pretty. That's really good. So it's like no problem. The reason I'm going into this to this level of detail, for one, it's to show you that it's real. 2, I did want to show you that we pay attention to this stuff. We could have just retested it, but because we didn't need to, because we had shot 6 in this particular case, I was like, you know what? Let's just publish it, because I want to show people what can happen. Okay, what can happen when data is not QA'd and QC'd. Okay, so because what if you hadn't looked at all of this, right? It's important. I think, and I bet you rimfire people are nodding their heads right now, because this is a great test to show you something I think every rimfire shooter has seen. Rimfire ammunition can sometimes be inconsistent, which is really bad for testing, right? We picked CCI standard velocity, which is one of the best ones for consistency. Okay, but sometimes things happen. Okay, if we had more inconsistency than this, we would have just scrapped it and done it again, which is fine. This is a great test though, and the Jessie's girl is so consistent that it all worked out, and it's good to see stuff like this. And again, it really shows you how in QA/QC, examining the entire waveforms are important. I mean, gosh, imagine just looking at the peak number. You actually wouldn't see if you just, actually. I can tell you, if you just look at peak dB, nothing that you wouldn't see anything, and you'd be like, oh, okay, it's all the same, because it happened later, after the peak. So how would you know unless you use the sensor sound standard, or people that are now using that are now showing you things that we show in the sensor sound standard, right? How would you know? You wouldn't know, right? It wouldn't be good to look at just a peak. It would tell you nothing. It would tell you nothing. Okay? Not QAing the data either. It would tell you less than nothing. Oh, man. It'd be like misleading, right? It'd be almost like, it would almost be like someone was leaving out the story. Right? Okay, so this is a great example. I'm not picking on Resilient, poor Resilient. It's not like, because frankly, their sensors are doing great. It's like, I use them as an example. It could have been anyone, right? It just so happens this was a Resilient test, but it could have been anyone. I'm using them as an example, as a guinea pig here to show you reality. Okay, it's important. And talking about this host, which I think, we haven't really talked about the 21A in years. We like the 21A as a host because it does push the need for flow rate and high pressure behavior of silencers. So although it's small, it has non-usable sites. It's a pretty good little semi-auto 22 host, I think. I think it's pretty. They're coming factory threaded now. It's just they're set up. They're cheap. It's cool. Now I think if you're using one of those Ruger Mark IIIs or Mark IVs or whatever iteration they're on now, I think you probably have some good carryover here. It's not gonna be like for like, right? But maybe some good carryover. It'd be cool to test that platform too, to show you like the exact differences. You know what I mean? So back to the technical analysis here. When you look at both the pressure and impulse histories, you will see that the sensor does have some first round pop. It does have measurable first round pop. But the first round pop from the Jessie's girl and this host, it's not going to blow you out your ears or something. It's going to sound different, but the severity differential, like how much worse the first round is to the subsequent rounds, is pretty insignificant. Okay, it's gonna sound different. You're gonna hear a difference, but it's not gonna be like, oh, that was loud. You know what I mean? I guess that's a good qualitative way of describing that to you. Okay. I think I said that in the article as well. And just so you know, speaking of the article members, if you have not looked at this, you are going to want to take a look at the shooter's ear data. What I spoke about just a second ago with regard to the combustion behavior in shot 2, that really shows up in the shooter's ear data. It's like when you see that, you're going to be like, oh man, now I see why you use shot 6. It's like, yeah. I know. When you're like, yeah. I mean, if you weren't convinced looking at the muzzle data, look at the ear data. Oh, golly, hell, gee golly gosh, as they say. So yeah, you're gonna have to look at that. It's pretty interesting. Now, one thing I really want you guys to understand is that ejection port blast still matters. A lot of folks only think about that with ARs. It's so weird. When you think about ejection port blast, people are like, oh yeah, it's all about the AR and the gas blowback. Oh, how much back pressure, and they talk about ARs all the time, or shoulder fire weapons, and it's like, guys, most semi-automatic weapons, when suppressed, produce blast hazard out of the ejection port that's higher than unsuppressed. Don't forget about it. It's happening with every single semi-auto you shoot. Again, we'll talk about that next topic, but I'm going to get ahead of myself here. But, it's important, okay? So I know that with this 22 data set, I know it's a small data set with this weapon so far. But for one, Rome wasn't built in a day. 2, we still have some comparisons, okay? So let's look at them, okay? Scroll down to figure 6, okay? Figure 6. You can see at the shooter's ear, that's the blue crosshatch bars. You can see at the shooter's ear with this weapon, the Jessie's Girl and the rugged Oculus in its full long configuration are pretty close. Neck and neck. Okay. It's a little bit of a difference at the muzzle, though, right? Yeah, a little bit difference at the muzzle. The Jessie's Girl pulls away a little bit here on this house, doesn't it? It does. I think they were neck and neck with low pressure rifle, but with the higher pressure on the pistol, the Jessie's Girl pulls away a little bit, which I think is notable. I think that's notable to showcase here. Now, I will say there is a third silencer in this group, isn't there? Check out the third silencer on the plot. That is the short configuration of the rugged Oculus. Remember that rugged Oculus is a modular silencer, so you can use it long, which is probably the same length or maybe a little shorter than the Jessie's Girl, and you can use it in the short configuration. So you can see there's a difference, yeah? Guys, I'm here to tell you, silencers are not magic, okay? When someone tells you that a really tiny 22 silencer on a really tiny 22 pistol is super quiet, you should be very skeptical, because I know they look cool in the photos when you put a little tiny short 22 silencer on a little short 22 pistol. I know that looks cool to you, but have you ever shot a really tiny 22 silencer on a really tiny 22 pistol? Have you? It's louder than you think. How loud is it? Well, check out the plot. You're hitting 47.1 at the shooter's ear with the short configuration of the Oculus, compared with 68.8 in the long configuration. 1 second. So you went from 47.1 short to 68.8 long with that Oculus. Again, with CCI standard velocity ammo, we had to go back and retest the Oculus because way back in the day we used random ammo. Anyway, you can read that on the website. There's an addendum. I'm not going to go into that right now, but just so you know, this Oculus test and the Jessie's Girl test is apples to apples. Same ammo, same gun. Okay. So Oculus short 47.1, Oculus long 68.8. Changing the length of the Oculus drops you 2 categories, 2 suppression rating categories on this gun, guys. Does the same thing happen on a bolt-action rifle? Well, no. That's low pressure. Completely different regime. Right. Okay, so you're tracking now. You see why this is important? Why this Beretta 21A test is important? This is why the short configuration of the Oculus is awesome, right? You can use it on your bolt gun and get awesome suppression with a very short length. Now, when it's pistol time, what do? Well, you go full configuration, right? And that's what modular silencers are for, right? It's adapted in the use cases. And this is a good real life example. This is a good real life example of modular silencer in the wild, a rugged Oculus, short configuration. You put it on a longer barrel 22. Cool. Now you have less weight, less length, good suppression. Oh, what's that? You have a higher pressure situation you need to deal with? Make it a longer configuration. Boom. And you do. Okay, so that's a good example. I've had some folks ask me, like, why you would ever do that? And now you have data to show, like, recent data to look at comparison-wise. Like, well, if you do put your short Oculus or short anything on a little Beretta 21A, don't expect miracles. Okay, get it? It's important. This is physics. It's important for you to understand that. So back to the Jessie's Girl, there is some stuff we have not evaluated with the Jessie's Girl that would be cool, and some of you could probably do this. It has it's rated for 5.7, which I guess the Oculus is too. I don't shoot 5.7. Some of you do, but they put I think they put some thought into the flash hider features. It's pretty simple, but they did consider it. If you look at the end cap here, I believe it has external tines. It also has a recessed, what would I call this? A recessed nozzle geometry inside the end cap. And I believe this was designed for flash performance on 5.7. I actually have it sitting right here on my desk, disassembled. So I have the end cap in my hand, just looking at it. It's interesting. So it would be cool to test this thing at night with a normal. What I would want to do, just if I had like just for science, right? I would want an end cap that was just like this, except just a hole in it, and it didn't have any other features. Like it didn't have a recessed nozzle, it didn't have any tines, and then use this, and I bet you the flash would be completely different. So, and it's not just it's not just the external tines that are doing it. You know what? I think we just spoke about this with the RC3 flash discussion, didn't we? I explained underexpanded jet nozzle, supersonic jet nozzle flow to you guys in that talk, right? We talked about that. So this end cap is pretty unique for a 22 can. Easy to take apart. It comes with a wrench. The baffles in this thing are stainless, which is nice, easy to clean. They're marked with letters in order, which I really like. There's like an A, B, C, like a blast baffle group. It's just great. I like having baffles marked like that on silencers like this that disassemble, because sometimes when you're putting things back together after you clean them, it's a pain in the butt without marking. If the order does matter, and in this silencer it does, their mill cuts are a little bit different. And their baffles, their notches are a little bit different. So you just want to make sure to put them back in order. And another really nice touch that I sort of like with 22 can is that there are little indexing notches, so they go together correctly. I like that. They can only go together one way, which is it's really takes away some of the confusion. I enjoy that. But one thing to note, and I just double check this, so I'm pretty sure this is true. There is not an indexing notch on the inside of the mount at the aft portion of the silencer, which means like in the proximal end, the part that screws on the gun. That means if the silencer influences your point of impact shift, which depends on your gun, I don't know. I don't know if it does, but if it does, that means that if you take out the baffles and put them back in, you're going to have to remember how you clock the stack. Yeah. I'm not saying it's a huge deal with 22, but I'm just saying there's no notch on the mount, so the entire baffle stack can turn in the silencer. Understand? Okay, 1 second. Yeah, so machining looks nice, finish is nice, simple silencer. It's good stuff. Okay, so all in all, solid little system. I think it'll be cool to see more from Resilient. We've seen some pretty interesting things from them. The RSP, the RS9, this thing. They have the Jolene rifle silencer. Stay tuned for that. Just it's really. They don't have like a ton of products, but what they're putting out seems to be pretty cool. I think everything they're putting out to me, this is just me talking. This is just like a subjective opinion. Everything they're putting out seems to be a little different than the run-of-the-mill stuff. Okay, they're just like little incremental improvements that I think are stuff you kind of want to see if you're a shooter. So that's cool. So props to that. Props to them for that. Okay. And so I'm also excited to get back into 22 here and there. It's not hugely exciting for some people, but I think it's everything to others, right? There are people who literally only own 22 silencers because they shoot them all the time and it doesn't cost a fortune, and they shoot with their kids. Maybe, for practice, they're using trainers. Maybe they're shooting pests around the yard, things like that, doing some yard pops, like a ninja. I'm telling you guys, 22 silencers are cool, man. It really is ninja stuff. I mean, you can theoretically in a galaxy far, far away, in which we're just talking as friends here around a campfire. You could shoot in your house, if you're, theoretically. Thanks, Resilient, for trusting us once again to characterize the performance of your silencers. Means a lot. Thank you, sir. Okay, let's move into topic 2 at a time of 39 minutes and 59 seconds. Okay, 1 second. Jay said we could shoot silencers in our house. Jay says to break the law. Whatever, dude. Jay said, I start to read. It's weird. Sometimes I hop on social media and I see just random comments from like Jay from PEW Science said that. I'm like, I didn't say that ever. What are you talking about? Jay said we're supposed to commit crimes. Topic 2, gas blowback out of your AR-15 ejection port. Do you even know why that happens? And you know, what happens when you add a silencer and all that? Boy, howdy, man. You would think that all of a sudden people just found out about reciprocating weapon systems, the way I've seen folks speak about this sometimes. I tell you what, man, I've seen such wild stuff. I think for this talk, I think we should start with the basics. Okay, we should start with the basics. Just close your eyes and visualize. Just visualize with me. Take an unsuppressed semi-automatic weapon. Okay, unsuppressed, no silencer. All right, no silencer. Rifle, pistol, I don't care. Whatever. You good? You got one in your mind? Got one? I don't care what you pick, as long as it's semi-auto. You got it? Okay. It could be your carry gun. Could be your pig gun. Don't care. No silencer. Unsuppressed. Cool? All right. Close your eyes. Okay. Load a magazine. Chamber a round. Fire the round downrange. Oh my God. Jay told me to shoot a round downrange with my eyes closed. Jay said. No. Sorry. Fire the round downrange. What happens when you fire that round? Let's walk through it together, okay? Unsuppressed. You just shot your semi-automatic gun, unsuppressed. You feel me? Cool, okay. What happens? You pulled the trigger, what happened? You initiated the primer, yeah? What did that do? You started burning propellant pretty rapidly, okay. Overpressure is produced, right? Why? Well, combustion byproducts from rapid burning, you're creating a blast load, aren't you? That's right. You produced a blast load. What does it do? What does that blast load do? Well, it causes the case to expand. Oh my God, your case is expanding. The brass is deforming touching the chamber walls, isn't it? Nowhere else to go. The bullet starts to get pushed out of the case. The case is pushing back on the breech block. The bullet hops into the rifling of the barrel. The blast load is able to further expand. What does that mean? Well, it keeps pushing the bullet. That's right. The bullet starts to turn in the rifling as the rifling cuts the bullet. It's cutting into the soft metal of the bullet. The bullet starts spinning. The expanding blast load is pushing the bullet through the barrel. The bullet leaves the barrel. Oh my God. That's crazy. When you really think about it, when you break it down like that, you're like, that's a lot of stuff going on. It's neat. You with me so far? Okay. Bullet's gone. Bullet just left. Oh, no. We missed it. Now what? Are we done? Absolutely not. You're not done at all. You're just getting started, dude. You're jetting gas out of the muzzle. Oh, my God. There's still blast load coming out of the muzzle. That's crazy. And the momentum imparted to the reciprocating system, if it's a straight blowback gun or a tilting barrel blowback pistol, or maybe it's that plus gas impulse from your piston, your gas tube, whatever. Regardless of the operating system, things are starting to move rearward mechanically, right? What has to happen if things start to move rearward? What has to happen if things are moving rearward mechanically? Your chamber has to open to atmosphere, right? Where's your chamber? Well, it's further rearward than the muzzle in the pistol you're holding out in front of you. Or maybe it's near your face if it's a rifle that you're shouldering. Yeah? Regardless of where it is, it's open to atmosphere now, isn't it? That's right. It is open. Oh, man. So what is the difference between atmospheric pressure and the pressure that's now free to expand out of the chamber? Well, it's not zero. It's not zero. Okay, promise you that. It's not that there's zero pressure differential. The pressure differential is pretty significant. Yeah? And it's so significant that if you're shooting a weapon with no silencer, there's still ejection port blast. Oh, snap. That's right. You just forget about it, right? Why? Well, there's a bigger blast load from the muzzle coming back at you, isn't there? Oh, yeah. Yeah, but everyone forgets about little old ejection port blast, don't they? It's easy to forget when you have a shock load coming back at your face from the muzzle blast. When you shoot a gun without hearing protection or a silencer on it and it hits you in the face, you're like, and your ears, and you're like, oh, that was really loud. You're not really thinking about the ejection port blast. You're thinking about, mostly thinking about the muzzle blast. Yeah. So that's it. That's it, guys. Right? That's what happens when you shoot a semi-automatic weapon. You get blast load at your face from what? From muzzle blast. But mixed in with that, you get a smaller ejection port blast. They combine. That's right. Just like with silencer, without a silencer, you still get combined blast load at your face. What, you think silencers did that? No, guns do that, dude. Okay? Relax. All right? Semi-automatic guns are dangerous to your face. Okay? Cool. So let's keep talking about that. Is it just air? Is it just mostly air out of the ejection port? Is it just like just a pressure wave propagating through air? I mean, there is a pressure wave propagating through air, compressing the air in front of it, and then transferring momentum to you. Yes, there is air, but are there other things too? Well, there are. There are other things, all kinds of things, actually, compounds, not stuff you want to breathe. It's not good for you. And I know you think it smells good. And if you're a shooter, man, hey, the smell of some rounds downrange is pretty cathartic. I acknowledge that. I get you. But it's not the healthiest thing to breathe. We're still talking about unsuppressed. You feel me? Okay, cool. Well, how about temperature? We talked about what's in the stuff. What about temperature? Is the things coming out of the ejection port, is it the same temperature as the surrounding air? Or is it hotter? I'm asking you. What is your environment like? Are you shooting your unsuppressed AR right now in the cold, dry air? Just getting some reps in, as they say on the internet. Getting your reps in, practicing. Take your unsuppressed AR, you're shooting little paper targets there, running around the range, because you're a G.I. Joe. That's great. What do you see when you do that in the cold? Well, you see some smoke, maybe some steam, some condensate out of the ejection port, right? Sure, you see that, right? Unsuppressed, you see that, right? We're not talking about with the silencer. This is all unsuppressed. Okay, so the cold lets you see that. So you see that. Oh man, that's crazy. Cool. I'm getting your mind working. All right, cool. So to recap, every single semi-automatic weapon that you ever shoot unsuppressed is sending ejection port blast overpressure and poison into your face. Full stop, right? Okay. Just so we're all on the same page. We're all friends here. So, okay. Everything, it's all dangerous. Got it? There's blast load and there's toxic gas. And it doesn't matter if there's a silencer on the gun. You feel me? Okay, cool. How do I know that? Because that's how guns work. Cool. Okay. So now add a silencer. Oh no. What have you done? That's right. When people talk about gas blowback, what are they actually talking about, dude? They're talking about exactly what we just talked about, but they're talking about it at a level that bothers them. Am I right? Yes. So some folks that shoot weapons, like me, never want to shoot guns unsuppressed. So you may think, and we're all guilty of this, you may kind of forget that stuff like this is happening all the time, regardless of the silencer, okay? But a silencer can make it worse. Okay, and why? Why would a silencer make it worse? We've talked about, I don't know how many episodes, was episode 190 something. I don't know how many times I've told you this, but whether it's an MP5 or an AR or your carry gun, no matter what the operating mechanism, when the chamber opens, if the pressure's higher, the ejection port blast load is going to be more severe. Okay? We've talked about this. When you put a silencer on a gun, it is increasing the time it takes for the blast load to vent out of the muzzle of the barrel. Forget about operating system. Forget about the type of action. Semi-automatic gun. Put a silencer on the end of the barrel. What is it doing? Your blowdown time increases. Right? So let me say that again. Whether it's an MP5 or an AR or your carry pistol, no matter what the operating mechanism, when the chamber opens, if the pressure's higher, the ejection port blast load is going to be more severe. Do silencers increase the time at which it takes to vent gas out of the muzzle of the gun? Yes. The ejection port blast load is therefore going to be higher at the time of unlock. And what is a blast load? Is it only a pressure? Well, no. It's not only a pressure, is it? It's also a duration, which produces, you guessed it, impulse. Gas, momentum, transfer, potential. Oh, that's right. That's right. So now you have a higher pressure, longer duration blast load at your face because you added a silencer. Do some silencers not add that? Well, not really. Some silencers add relatively little from the ejection port, sure. Super duper high flow rate stuff. But all silencers add something. And if you're in enclosed spaces, it's all combusting, so you're going to get dosed regardless, just in a different way. And if you use rapid fire, oh boy, you better hope you can deal with that increased temperature and pressure. You're really going to have to ramp up your differential to atmosphere in that case. I mean, you have no choice with the increasing temperature. Big time. Yeah. So I say all this to say, when you speak about gas blowback, know that it's tied to blast load, know where it comes from, and know that it also occurs unsuppressed. Don't neglect it. Don't always assume it's only on ARs, guys. It's on every semi-auto weapon you shoot. All right? This is why we chase the silencers that impact the additive ejection port blast less. Okay? The quieter you can get a system while minimizing the ejection port blast, the more optimized you are. It's basically the holy grail. And we're still chasing. Okay? Hybrid designs are showing the best promise right now, aren't they? In all regimes, really. So stay tuned, man. As we continue to see more of those here and there, we're going to see some cool stuff. Okay? I just wanted to go through this talk today just as food for thought, just to recap for you. Once you have these basic building blocks, which are frankly old hat for most of you, once you have these basic building blocks of understanding the physics of semi-automatic firearms, you'll be better equipped to understand gas blowback, ejection port hazards. When you tune a gun, some people are like, oh man, I'm going to tune the gun, so I'm going to make it sound better at my ear. That is probably going to happen with a silencer, sure. But what else are you doing? Well, you're venting more out of the front. You're letting the pressure drop for a longer period of time. Your blast load is less severe, but your gas toxicity hazard could potentially be less severe depending on a multitude of variables like the weapon, the silencer, the dwell time, the firing schedule, your environment. It's really complicated, okay? The best thing we can do right now to quantify this stuff holistically is to look at the entire signatures acquired in the free field, look at the gas momentum transfer potential, look at the weapon kinematics, look at free field parameters like omega, and eventually, instrument inside the silencers to, give you quantitative values of alpha. But right now, the world is your oyster with the amount of data on the website to help out, okay, and your experiences, okay. So when I see so many people talking about gas blowback and is it gassy? Is it gassy? Asking questions on the internet, and people, a lot of people will tell you exactly what the answer is, but it seems like some people have forgotten just how the firearms actually work. And they start to look at videos of silencers and making judgments about what's gas. See, even people, the very high flow rate silencers nowadays, the Huxworks silencers, the RC3, what else is really high? Whatever is like super high flow rate silencers, and they're starting to judge things based on video. With it's not, doesn't have efficacy. You have to look at the data in a controlled way, and if you understand all the things we spoke about today on this topic, I think you'll see that. Okay, don't get lost. You're gonna start chasing your tail around. You may never find your way home. You know what I mean? Just gonna waste your time. Okay. So if you have any more, and we can do a part 2 of this. I'll consider this part 1 just as like a little primer, and then if you guys give me some feedback, maybe you want to talk about tuning, talk about the best way to kind of revisit some thoughts on that. Maybe we do a part 2. How does that sound? Okay, I'll make a little note to myself here. I'll say that was part 1, and I'll put that in the show notes, and this will be part 1. And then I'm not saying part 2 has to be next week, but I'm not even going to say there is a part 2, but there might be if you want it. Okay. Again, I know that's old hat for most of you, but some folks might not know it. And so it's either a good refresher or a lot of people just learn something they can use. Okay. So thanks for listening today. I hope you folks have a wonderful rest of your week. We should start a thing where we have not a homework assignment, because that's lame, but like a goal, like every week, go shake someone's hand that you didn't know, or go talk to someone about silencers that's never shot a gun or something. So let's do that. This is just off the top of my head. Okay. In the next week, your mission is to ask someone that you see all the time if they've ever heard a silencer in real life. Those are the rules. Okay, break. Stay safe out there. I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.